call the meeting at 7:04. And I'm gonna ask Rocky Vitale to lead us to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, he's.
All right. Item 3.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the minutes of the regular meeting, June 7th, 2022, and the revised public hearing 2022, each member receive copies.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a volume adjustment there again.
Yep.
Opposed?
The motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the monthly reports of June, each member receive copies for review.
Second.
Questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so, I think, we've got a normal amount of regular business tonight. We will be spending some extra time in executive session discussing Lanxess, parcels A and parcel B. I'll just say there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. So I think we'll have a fairly normal, hopefully expeditious meeting and potentially lengthy executive session. So that's my prediction.
Mayor, just so you know, we have to add executive session to the agenda itself.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right? Grant?
Okay, yeah.
Can, Pete, can you put that microphone next to Fran's mouth? Because we can hardly hear him.
Can
Why
I?
not, man?
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
And I'd like to say that the volume on your microphone is 28 times higher than everyone else, just so you know.
All right, I'll shut up.
You don't have to just
Turn it down.
turn it down a little. All
I
right,
can't. Anyway,
okay, let's go to public comment. Jim K will monitor public comment. Is there anyone who wants to make a public comment
We have,
in the room or on Zoom?
we've got one on Zoom, Patty K.
Okay,
Patty, go ahead.
Patty K,
Hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wanted to speak about 5G again, but it's an expansion of what I talked about last night. I won't be redundant.
Do you hear?
The wireless revolution and the
Patty, stop for a minute. You're coming in garbled. We can't really hear you if you could.
Okay, I'm gonna unplug my computer that's in the other part of the room that might be interfering with my phone. May I do so, sir? I'll be right back. Can you hear me better, sir?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, great. It's the computer plugged in. I apologize. The wireless revolution and the expansion of the Internet of Things is rapidly increasing our exposure to non-ionizing electromagnetic fields, now considered a new form of environmental pollution. Health and medical professions recommend we reduce these EMF exposures because of a growing body of research that documents adverse.
Patty, we can't, you're not coming in loud and clear. We can't understand the words.
Not coming in loud and clear.
Can you? It's not me,
I
right?
can't hear. No, no. I hear.
So Charlotte,
Mhm.
doesn't have enough bandwidth, it's not coming.
Let's see.
I can't hear her
My
on
daughter's gonna
Zoom.
remove the computer from the room and see if that helps us. Let's see.
That was great. Where were you there?
She's all the way back.
She gone?
She did.
Oh, she's back.
Let's try again.
Jim,
Okay, Patty, try it again.
Patty K.
Hear me, sir?
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you again for your patience. I apologize again. The wireless revolution and the expansion of the Internet of Things is rapidly increasing our exposure to non-ionizing electromagnetic fields, now considered a new form of environmental pollution. Health and medical professions recommend that we reduce the EMF exposures because of a growing body of research that documents adverse biological effects from low-level exposures. Exposures to human-made EMF are a relatively recent phenomenon, and the more complex data carrying signals of cellular networks have been found to have significant biological effects. Humans are electrical beings. Our cells communicate with tiny electrical impulses, which affect our heart, our brain, our nervous system, and our endocrine system. Our large and increasing body of research in both human and animal studies have found that even legally amounted of low-level exposures are linked to a myriad of harmful biological effects, including cancer, DNA damage, and impacts to the reproduction, nervous system, and brain development. There is also oxidative stress due to antioxidants being all used up, damage to the blood-brain barrier, and mitochondria. It's important because the mitochondria is what makes ATP and produces energy for your body, for every single cell in your body. And the blood-brain barrier protects the brain against things that do not belong there getting into the area around your brain. There have been over 10 million people in the United States, and believe it, that's a low estimate from what I understand, that have been affected with radiation poisoning with great disability from neurological symptoms, tinnitus, headache, insomnia, ADHD. They've had leukemia, irritability, balance disorders, nerve dysfunction, cognitive disability, acoustic neuromas, glioblastoma, flu-like symptoms, confusion, memory disorder, feeling like they are under anesthesia, colon cancers, and much more. Sadly, 4 families are still remained out of their homes in Massachusetts due to the 5G being installed close to their homes, and they've, sadly, to this day, have had to return. We had communicated with a professor from Berkeley, and he sent our information to another professor in Colorado. And this professor is Gary A. Olhoft, a professor of emeritus of geophysics, responded to our email. We asked, how does 5G affect a medical implant device such as a deep brain stimulator? He said, your concerns are valid. I've had a deep brain stimulator since 2009. I've had a variety of things interfere with it, from electrical vehicles to smart meters, charging stations, 5G, store inventory control systems, and more. We also see there's pulsing waves out on our waves. So they're computer weighting with the pulsing device, that's the generator that actually controls pacemakers, deep brain stimulators, insulin pumps, hearing aids, glucose monitoring system, and those type of things. I understand the cardiac pacemakers, I've had mixed reviews for that particular device. The electronic magnetic radiation impacts the imprinting of turtles and alters the migration pattern of fish. 5G also has a huge carbon footprint. I went into the legislation, also into Connecticut. I'm trying to be thorough in everything I looked at. And it said that Connecticut, which the legislature 2 years ago declared that the first 5G state, true fiber is actually the only thing that will allow 5G to function. Wherever fiber coaxial cable, a fine fiber light, which is all over the power utility poles now hung by the cable companies, 5G will follow. At present in Connecticut, the state is deciding which direction to go in regarding all the money received from the feds. The rural areas will be the focus. At this time in Connecticut, and this is really important, it's the laws in Connecticut. Communities should not push for fiber at this point without solid legal rulings about the FCC regarding local control over 5G placement on utility poles. In Connecticut, the siting jurisdiction goes like this. The Siting Council controls the cell towers, the power lines, the pylons, and the broadcast towers. The Public Utility Regulatory controls the power distribution poles along the roadways and what goes on them. 5G will entail both entities at different stages of build out, but to be pushing for fiber is a serious mistake here because towns do not control either placement of the towers or where the utility poles go. Without knowing what you're advocating to build, the essential skeleton of 5G in other states, though not all, there's more and more that goes on fiber. But even when a municipality owns its own fiber, they will still be under tremendous pressure to the small cells all over it for 4G, LTE, and eventually 5G, simply because of mobile capacity to where the demand is in the towns to recover their costs, or they will go bankrupt. This boils down to that if we want to stop 5G, the most effective way is to stop fiber and stick with coaxial wired cable networks like Spectrum, Comcast, and Optimum. It will buy us time. They are upgrading to fiber 2 in advance of 5G. There is zero reason for any town to own its own fiber at this time. You could pick fiber and you could pick copper wired. They don't have to give you that. They will give you 5G wireless. We don't get to have a say because of the way the laws are written in Connecticut. I understand they're under review to be changed, but currently that is the law. We don't get to pick anything. We only get to pick whether we allow this in the town or whether we don't at this particular time. So if we want to stop the harmful effects of 5G, the most effective way is to stop the fiber and stick with the coaxial wired cable networks like Spectrum, Comcast, and Optimum. The FCC was ordered to update their safety studies on limits that are safe for humans. It has not done this since 1996, and we need to find out what the safe limits for people to live in this environment of the wireless devices. We need not sacrifice our health for the profits of big companies and government at the cost of all life. The FCC was offered by the federal court, and we should wait as the scientists advise us for the results of these studies. Millimeter waves have never been tried on humans, and they will be synergistically with the 4G. It is a large experiment on us with the profits to others at great cost to ourselves, our pets, and all living things. I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit further if I still have enough time in the end, because there was a little bit more I wanted to say on that. Sadly, as I have learned in researching the 5G. Yes, sir.
We're going to give you one more minute to sum up, but first of all, we're not going to vote on anything along these lines tonight in the immediate future. Secondly, if you're reading any written materials, if you want to send them to us, I will. Read them to the group.
Sir. I will. My important information is important, and I try to be thorough and fair. And I've contacted, and I've even spoken to people about the industry, how the industry was set up between the FCC and the industry itself. And there is a lot of money in this industry, which we don't see. And the industry and the FCC have people that have that rotating thing. They work in the industry, then they work at the FCC. So the company isn't always representing the people. It's the big money that's in here. And that's why they're telling us to wait until we get the science studies, because there's over 10 million people that are sick to date with this. I've heard estimates of up to 30 million people, and they are looking to expand this while they haven't done the health studies so that they could keep up what they have and possibly grandfather it in. We need for them to define what the health safety standards for every single person, every plant, animal life. I understand it affects the fish in the river. It will affect every single living biological, because it demands a biological response from our bodies, including all biology, because that's how it works. There's these big radiation poles, they pulsate back and they bring the information to you. And our policemen, I can't begin to tell you the worry I have for them. They have actually meters. This isn't even things in my speech, but they have meters that we could actually measure. I think they're $168. And you can measure what your policemen are exposed to every single day. They have cameras right on their body. I've read extensively about the cancers from these things. And, wherever we have the device, when the antenna was up here, we're getting tumors in our brain. We're getting the glioblastomas. They're getting the children with the earbuds in the ear. The scientists tell you it is not a question of when or if, it's a question of when, because it's bringing the radiation right inside their head. The policemen I asked about, my father was a policeman for 41 years, so I am partial to the police and anyone who works for our city, to be honest with you. They do a lot of service. And they have all this radiation coming at them inside a vehicle that's made out of metal. I understand these cars that actually electric cars, that is a whole different story. I could do a topic just on that, from the actually engineering into those cars and to the lack of safety into those cars and fires and the amount of amperage coming from that battery, which people do not even understand.
All right,
But
Patty.
the policemen are in the middle of it, sir.
Patty,
Yes, sir.
34 seconds, sum up. We have to get going.
Okay, sum up. Well, I'm going to sum up by saying it this way. We will be recorded 24/7 with cameras, sensors. The industry was actually built for the big businesses that are going around in the government, because what that actually is for them to be able to get a social credit score for us, to get also, they also want the QR code for us, and they will be monitoring us everywhere. Those lights, the cameras, all the things on here are all wireless. They are enormously harmful for our body. Right now, they know it, but this is data collection. It sells our data. It brings money to them to pay for it, for all these things that they're doing. You will have no privacy of your own at all. Your home will have, we will not see it, smell it, or taste it, but they're calling it the new environmental pollution. What I've read is so serious, so concerning. I would be glad to talk to you in person. I'd be glad to actually be part of your committee, because it isn't just about me, it's about all of us. The children who are not unborn, we are not aware of what we're doing because we're not educated on it, including myself. You have our cell phones.
Time's up.
I know I've taken a lot of time, but I'm willing to work with the town because we really.
I want to encourage you to send us in writing the materials you're referring to, and I'm borough clerk right now, Nancy, to distribute them to everyone, the Burgesses, everyone at the meeting who needs them. So send us that in writing, and we're going to move on to the next speaker, Jim.
Yes, I've tried to do a good job, and I thank you for your time. You've been exceedingly generous to me. If it wasn't such an important topic, I wouldn't care so much about it, but I care about every single person in this town, their families, their children, the unborn children, and we need to educate ourselves on what we're bringing here, what we're doing to our families and how we live. I even understand a simple thing: put your iPhone on airplane. It takes a lot of the radiation away. At night, if you can turn your Wi-Fi's off, turn them off, because we are exposed to this all the time and we don't even know it. And our children, they're getting it at very, very young ages. They don't even know what will happen to them.
Are we
Thank
have,
you, sir.
We have another speaker, Jim. Patty, again, send us your
I will,
materials.
sir.
Gonna have the borough clerk distribute them, and Jim Case to Dan Sheridan.
Yes, sir. And I thank you very much. I apologize.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, good evening. As many of you know, I have a fairly extensive purchasing background, and my comment this evening, at least this first one, is based upon my experience. I have a major problem with agenda item number 14, waiving the bids on the skateboard park. Generally, when you waive a bid, you do it for a number of very seldomly used reasons. One is an emergency, another one is that it's a unique item, and another one, it's one supplier. None of these apply here. In fact, if you Google skateboard park design and construction, you'll find many potential suppliers. You know, why do people normally want to waive a bid? Sometimes they fall in love with a supplier, or they want to speed the process up. I think we have some of that going on in this particular case. I think both are extremely bad purchasing practices. I'm asking the Burgesses to reject this request, especially since it's for $250,000. I know about you, but that's a lot of money. I don't have problems generally with bids that are in the $10,000 range, but $250,000 is a lot of money. And I think we need to solicit formal bids, competitive bids, and do it correctly. And I also like to ask Burgess Dembowski to perhaps school the other Burgesses on good purchasing practices, since he also has fairly significant commercial purchasing experience. The second item I'd like to address is the Church Street one-way traffic outdoor dining. Where is it? I thought by now 66 Church and Santos would have these massive pavilions out in the middle of the street. I see nothing. I see the Loaded Goat, which was there before. I see La Casita, which has really cleaned up their spot. I drove by it around noontime today, and maybe they've expanded a little bit, but that's it. I mean, all the hullabaloo that we went through on making it one way, and it's still crazy driving down that street. I had one lady making a left-hand turn from the right-hand lane at the end, almost cut me off, but I saw she was going slow and looked confused, so I let her go. It's still nuts down there. So if it's not going to succeed, if we're not going to get these restaurants to do what, I don't know if they committed to it or if it was wishful thinking, but it doesn't seem to be accomplishing what was set out to be done in the first place. And a lot of anguish. Talked to some of the merchants that are on that street. A number of them are not real happy with it. And the other thing they're not real happy is my third item is the scooters. I think that program is a disaster. We have a number of young kids, very clearly under 18, zipping around with those things. I don't know why their parents or some adult gives them their credit card to do that. From what I understand, some people have been hit. I think we're only a heartbeat away from a serious accident happening where one of them is going to run into somebody, probably a more elderly person that can't dodge them, and cause some significant damage. So I think you really need to rethink that whole program. And that's not counting weaving in and out of the traffic too, which is dangerous in and of itself. I won't be surprised if one of these days somebody gets hit that way too. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not gonna, in the interest of time, respond to your last two comments. We will talk on the phone if you'd like, but just real quick, the one-way street had nothing to do with outdoor dining. That was just an added plus, and that will happen. Right now, we're doing a much more extensive project on Church Street where it's going to be totally redone with a complete street. So that's why there's been some delays. The scooters, in my view, are under review. We tried it out. I don't know how it's working. I know at the beginning it was chaos. After that, I don't know. I hear a lot of people like it. There are issues, so we'll keep our eye on it. On item number one, we'll take that up when we get to it. I would just say, and this is not a counter argument, it's just what happened, that this is sort of a unique situation. We sought out a vendor for something that is unique and tailored and designed to what our young people want. And we sought him out. It's sort of not a situation where we're designing a project and going out to bid. We sought his expertise to design the project to accommodate the interests of our younger people. So to me, it's a different situation, although I agree with your comments in general on, I believe those items clearly apply to most bids. In my mind, this is a little different, but when we get to that, we'll have a discussion on it.
I just counter that by saying that if we didn't have the internal expertise, we should have split that out and hired a consultant like we do with a large number of projects in town to help us design that and then put the design out for bid. Award the contract to the person that actually designed it. I mean, that's just bad practice. I'm sorry.
I agree it's bad practice, but in this case, I think it is the best way to accomplish this project, even though in general it's bad practice, but we'll take that up when we get to it. All right, any further public comment?
None online.
None online, anyone in the audience? I can't see.
They're the skateboard.
Skateboarders?
Those are the skate park guys.
Okay, I can't see, all right. All right,
He actually let us design it. We're gonna unveil it later. Yeah, he came to the town and wanted the town to design it. So,
okay, come to the microphone and state your name.
Did it?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Well, I remember you,
That was,
yeah, okay. State your name.
I'm Chris.
Chris, last name,
Chris
where do you
Field,
live?
I live right there, by old Cindy's, while I'm there.
All right,
But, let's see, in this town, the early nineties, George, since the eighties. And Dave actually came to me personally, after the park got moved from behind Hot Brook to where it is now at Linden. And said, hey, the current design doesn't fit. You have interest in designing it, so you were trying to work on a design, and we're actually gonna show it soon. I guess at some point tonight, Dave called us down here.
all right. Have you been talking to Jim Stewart?
Yep, I talked to him on the phone earlier. Yeah, and I mean, Dave's, it's Rampage Skate Shop at our state board parks out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. He's been building parks in the state of Connecticut for a long time. Yes, who got?
All right, so just so I'm clear, Jim Stewart, you're talking to Dave and these people,
Yes.
and you're all connected?
Yeah, so it's actually the town folk designing the park, and he's gonna build our design
Right,
plan.
okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
All right, any further public comment? All right. All right, let's go to Kyle Kelly, Naugatuck Ambulance for monthly report.
Good evening, everyone. I think I got my report out to everybody. If not, it's nothing crazy this month. 400 and some calls. One thing to note is we responded out of town majority of the time to Waterbury this month, about 44 times for mutual aid because we're just that good and they want us that badly. We've been helping them out a lot, and that continues. They're having some struggles, but nonetheless, things are going pretty well. We were able to secure the purchase of a new to us ambulance that we picked up last week with the help of a grant from Ion Bank, as well as the help of the borough. We have that. It's going for paint tomorrow on decals with some local vendors. We hope to see that in service in the next coming few weeks or so. Other than that, I don't have much. We're still doing what we do best, and we're out there meeting our calls and getting the trucks on the road. So,
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any questions?
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I noticed especially this month, between the administration, the staff, the dispatcher, and everyone else involved in getting ambulances where they're supposed to be. There was just an amazing job of getting ambulances back on the road when they were busy. You know, instead of saying, sorry, we're busy, let's go out of town. You know, everybody would check with everybody and say, how long are you gonna be? I'm gonna be 60 seconds at the hospital. Great, you take the next call. It's just astounding how you keep these things together and, you know, get things where they're supposed to be at the right time for the right purpose. So, you know, congratulations on that. It's a coordinated effort between everybody there.
thank you. I appreciate it. It's a group effort, and everybody's doing great. The crews are doing great at the hospitals and what we call quick turnarounds, and first responders, whether myself or other staff getting out there to make patient care and stuff. But I agree, it's been a great effort, and I'm proud of everybody we have working for us. So
Glad you're helping Waterbury, our partner too, so that's good.
we do our best.
Okay,
Can I make one comment, Pete?
yes, you
Kyle,
can.
Kyle, quit
Yes,
eating
sir.
them hot dogs that are about 2 foot long, okay?
Yeah,
We want you around, we want you around for a while.
I will indulge too often.
Okay.
Okay, all right, item 8, I reappoint Linda Ramos as a member of the Blake Citation Hearing Board, term to expire 7/1/25.
Motion to Board of Mayor Burgess pre-approve and authorize fiscal year 23-24 fleet fund purchase of 5 police department vehicles, 1 police department vehicle for undercover use, 1 fire department SUV type vehicle, and 1 town department SUV type as recommended by Controller Allison Bruce. Vehicles required additional lead time due to automotive industry's production line delay. Second.
All right, so before I turn this over to Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, we're not really spending any money here. We're pre-ordering items so that they'll be here on time for next year's budget when we'll pay for them. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so anything you want to add to item 9?
The the wait time has been extending further and further out. There's a serious concern about keeping our renewal cycle, and we find that this motion approval is very important to keeping in our fleet cycle that we set up when the fleet fund was established.
Okay, so we're just gonna order them now and pay for them next year.
Correct.
Okay. And any questions on this?
What happens if we don't meet the swap out cycle time? Let's say the delays are so far
We
ahead.
have to wait another year.
Plus it costs us more because then there'll be vehicles that are older and need more repair. And there'll be vehicles that are out of warranty when you have new ones, you do the warranty, so it ends up costing more money if you miss the cycle.
Let's hope we don't miss the cycle.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to Board of Mayor Burgess to approve United Concrete Products, 173 Church Street, Yales, to continue to provide goods and or services fiscal year 2022/2023. The authorized mayor has to execute all contracts and related documents as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
All right, James.
United Concrete, Jeremy uses to buy concrete products, precast concrete for road improvements, the catch basins and the drainage, the manholes. They are state bidder, but there are some items that town orders from them that aren't on the state bid. Obviously, DOT has their particular units that they use and they bid. But apparently there are certain other precast items that we order from them that are not on the state bid. So that's the reason why I decided.
Jim, when you do the curbing, are you using asphalt or concrete curbing?
Asphalt.
On the new, okay.
Asphalt.
All right, any questions for Jim? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor Burgess authorize Mayor Warren and Pete Hess to sign a contract to provide social service work to Naugatuck Police Department with Stokes Consulting Services, Hillside Avenue, Naugatuck, fiscal year 2022/2023 as recommended by Police Chief Colin McDonald.
Second.
Okay, Colin, bring us up to speed on this.
Just to bring everybody up to speed on this, we did have we're transitioning away from a part-time social worker to a full-time position. It'll be a co-response model. This line item was previously funded during the budget period, so we're just looking to get approval to execute the contract that will allow us to bring this program fully online. We're doing some very preliminary work. We do have a social worker who's been selected. I'm pleased to say that Dr. Stokes informed me there were over 200 applicants for the position of a police social worker here in Naugatuck. So that definitely says that this is a sought after position, and I believe it's definitely a game changer for us providing higher quality services and also trying to deal with some of the things that are in that gray area between the law enforcement issue and more of a societal thing that will allow us to kind of wrap around services.
And it's within our budget number.
Correct, yes. This is the budget number that was approved during the budget process.
Okay. I would just say that we've gotten a lot of benefits from the program in cases that just totally fall between the cracks. Homeless people and all types of mental health issues that are better suited for social workers than the police department. So I don't know if that's exactly how we envisioned it at the beginning, but the way it's working is very helpful to the police and even to the mayor's office when we have mental health issues and there's really no place to refer people. Now we refer them to the social worker. So it's a good thing. There's more and more mental health issues. Every year we see more and more of them, especially in the last 2 years. So I think it's working out great myself.
If I may say, even to the Burgess level, I made a referral to the psychologist down there a little bit while ago on a call that I got. So it's working out very well.
And I will say that, there's no real help at the state level or the federal level, and it all falls on the police department. When these calls come in, oftentimes they're in the middle of the night and there's no one there but the police. So it, providing them, an extra arrow in their quiver to deal with these issues is a good thing. So I think this program, or something similar to it, may expand in the future, because there's just an awful lot of people that need help. All right, any questions for Colin?
I have a few questions. This is, it's not a full-time position, it's full-time equivalent. It's probably number of
It's
part-time
budgeted
people
for
that,
staffing of 40 hours a week.
40 hours a week.
That's why we're contracted with Stokes Counseling. They provided a part-time position last year. We have a great relationship with them. We thought they provided a good quality service, so that's why we're asking to enter into full-time staffing hour contracts with them to continue this.
Sure, Mike runs a good service there. Where are they based out of? Do they sit at the police station? Do they?
Correct. They do have an office. They're gonna have a terminal. They're also gonna have a police radio. They're gonna respond to calls that fall within our policy that we just rolled out, which went into effect July 1st. So being there present, they're gonna work statistically, follow our swing shift or hours, maybe about 10 till about 6 p.m. around there. We are leaving open spots just to after-hour referrals and call-outs if possible, and if not, there's that ability to follow up, which also.
And they do a combination of riding with a police officer or going on their own?
Correct, yes. So we're gonna be making introductions this week to different community stakeholders, several kids, our social worker, and from there we'll be moving forward.
Good, great service.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Or should the Board of Mayor Burgess authorize Mayor and Warren Pete has to sign a contract to repair the roof to Town Hall located 249 Church Street, Naugatuck, with Diamond Roofing Specialist, 99 Brookside Road, Waterbury, fiscal year 2022. 2023 is recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
Before I turn it over, I just have to compliment the deputy mayor on his proper pronunciation of Naugatuck. So
Go ahead.
really enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Whoa. Not everyone gets it right. All right, Jim.
As you may not be aware, the town hall roof is well beyond its warranty. We do been leaking regularly in the
Controller's office.
the controller's office, exactly. It's been patched several times, but it just keeps moving, keeps leaking. So we have a proposal from Diamond Roofing, who is our approved roofing vendor, for the replacement of the roof at the budgeted $100,000.
What's the is it the repair cost? Is that-
$100,000, yes.
Did you analyze it and you feel good about it?
Yes,
Is it a repair or a new?
it's a new roof,
Yeah,
Okay,
don't say repair, say new.
a replacement roof.
Very good, thank you. Is it a rubber roof?
It is a rubber roof,
Okay,
new insulation.
very good. Thank you very much on that. And this is for which town hall?
Not
It's for the Naugatuck Town Hall.
electricity.
He doesn't know how to say, he's from Monroe.
Fabulous.
He's from Monroe.
you're not.
Good.
all the way there.
Does Billy still own that business? No? No, yeah, no, Paul?
I don't know.
I go way back with him from when I was working years and years in there.
I think he
They
does.
always did good work.
I believe he does.
Yeah, they always did good work.
All right, so you're good?
I'm good.
All right, any questions? Any discussion? All those in favor,
Aye,
opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize Mayor and Warren Pete has to sign a contract to repair a roof for the youth services building located 19 Scott Street, Naugatuck, with Diamond Roofing Specialist, 99 Brookside Road, Waterbury, fiscal year 2022-2023, as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
We also would like to hire Diamond Roof to replace the youth services building roof. It is very old. Believe it's slate, like Tuttle, but much worse condition. And the fascia is all rotting, the gutters are falling off, and the plywood or the structure underneath it, shingles are all rotting as well. So this is the proposed price to replace that section.
So I'm gonna ask the same question I asked previously. Given the fact that we may be selling that building, is it possible to do a repair? Or do we need a replacement just to keep it that way for the next, say, 5 years?
I would say if you're gonna repair it, you have to repair it slate. You'd be peeling off 4 or 5 feet of slate, putting new fascia. It doesn't make any sense to replace the slate. I mean, not at $20,000.
I didn't realize that was a slate roof.
Part of it is the older part, the new additions, fine shape.
You going back with comp? You going back with a top roof? A composition roof?
Yes, it's asphalt. Shingle.
Are they gonna fix the gutters and the rotted,
Yes.
okay. So it's not a repair, it's a total redone.
Yes.
So,
Replace.
You mentioned you.
Won't use. It does. Yeah.
so Jim, you feel this is the best way to approach it, even though we may sell the building in the not too distant future?
Yes.
It's gonna be a selling point too.
Yeah.
So not gonna roof,
Well,
he has 20,000 more.
okay, any questions? Any discussion?
Do we have to amend the motions because it said repair versus replace?
On the first one, we already did it.
Okay.
This one, well, they,
Right?
it's a full repair.
It's a big repair. That's like saying when I bought a new car, but I repaired my old one. This is a repair car. You know, it's new.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
We know
As
the
long
intent.
as the record's clear that in both cases, it's a full replacement. What's the number for this one, Jim?
This one is
So it's just a replacement on the slate portion of it.
$20,427.
Okay,
No, get rid of the slate. Yeah.
That's a-
What do you do with the old slate? Are they throwing it away? Are they recycling it?
We have 2 pallets of slate,
Yeah.
Tuttle building, just old slate that's staying there, so I don't see any reason to save more. Unless someone
Well,
has need.
Are we saving it or do we want to sell it?
The Historic Society is using some of it. They make those charter shooting boards
yeah, they're nice.
and sell them.
Sell, there you go.
Well, is this slate as nice as the slate at the Tuttle building?
Is it repurposable?
My feeling is when we did the Tuttle building, we had a gentleman there who was collecting it, palletizing it. I don't think that unless we pay extra, we're gonna get the company to take the time to get it in a position where it can be saved rather than just strip right off and break.
I got
So I would,
Just gonna take a shovel.
if you want to volunteer to stay at the bottom and catch them,
It'll probably get cut up.
There's plenty of it.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, so, last call for questions. Discussion? All those in favor,
aye,
opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess waive the bid and authorize Mayor and Warren Pete has to enter into construction contract to build a skateboard park in Linden Park with Rampage LLC, 1625 Railroad Avenue, Bridgeport, Connecticut, the amount not to exceed $250,000 is recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
All right, so before we start, I agree with Dan's comments about almost, everything he said with regard to normal projects. This project, in my mind, is unique. We didn't really know what we wanted until we had a whole host of meetings with Rampage, with, the gentleman in the back of the room. What's your name?
Chris.
Chris what?
Chris Hugh. George was there.
Come on up,
Right.
guys.
Come on up.
A
And,
few other people.
and we in essence tried to get the desires of our local skateboarders and had several meetings to put together a skateboard park that would in essence be a destination and something that would be very attractive to skateboarders, and it required special input from skateboard experts in order to come up with the design. All of the people involved were very happy with Rampage, and I would call this more of us recruiting Rampage than going out to bid as we would in a normal situation. So to me, this is a unique situation, but I do understand all of Dan's comments, and I would generally agree with them, but in my mind, this is a unique situation, and we're trying to get exactly what we want, and we were using this team essentially as essentially the Rampage team as consultants to help design a project that meets the needs and the desires of our skateboarders. So that's what happened. No secret about it. Also, I know in the past when we've worked with people closely, and you go out to bid and someone else takes their design, it creates friction and problems. But I'm going to vote for this, but I think it's a unique situation. But I want everyone to think carefully about what Dan said, because in general, he's right. I'm going to vote to do this because it's unique. And I don't think we could have put the specs together without Rampage, in essence, working with us. So, and we did do some checking on pricing, and it seems like a fair price, and not just the design, but the concrete and what goes into it. I had Jim Stewart look into it. So it is unique in my mind. It's a deviation from our normal policies. So I'm going to vote in favor of it, but I think we should have a discussion about Dan's comments.
Can I say a couple things?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd just like to say,
Oh, state your name.
my name's George Martin. I live on Millville Ave. I've been here for a long time. Went to high school here. Been a skateboarder my whole life. And I'd like to say that I know it leaves a sour taste in a lot of like the people's mouths about the skate park, because the first one, it was paid for, with a lot of money, and it kind of fell apart, and it was, it wasn't worth what it was paid for, I think, in the end. And then, and to have it done with concrete and have it done, by the right people, and have it designed where it actually, flows and kids enjoy it, and it brings people here, from other towns and other states, it's a big thing, and it's just, I know I've heard it before, how the skate park, it's looked down upon, in a way, but it's really not. It brings kids, to a place they meet, they enjoy it, they make friends there. I'm a troubled kid that, came from really, a bad family, and skateboarding, is one of the things that lifted my life. and, I'm a resident here, been, for 20, 30 years. Now that's a great place. And it's like, let's do this right, let's do it the right way. And, and I know it's a lot of money, it's more money than I have found, but it's like, do it the right way, do it, where people want to come here, they want to be
Okay.
part of it,
So, let's, Rocky,
Yes,
why don't we start with you?
yeah, I have some questions. Is this going to be something where there'll be specific age groups that go at specific times? In other words, will you get a 60-year-old skateboarder there with a 12-year-old skateboarder, or is there some kind of organization, organized?
Good point about that is a lot of old guys go early in the morning, 7 o'clock, they'll be old, I'm old.
I want to know what he considers old.
I don't wanna say I'm old, but I'm 47 years old, going on 48, and, when you go, you don't wanna go there when there's a bunch of little kids, you don't wanna go there when little kids, you wanna be there 7 in the morning, do your thing and get out of it.
Our design also has like an expert area and
Yeah,
most of
trying
it's
to
a
make it,
beginner area, so it's kind of separate where, you're not gonna be colliding with someone just learning the ropes.
The reason I'm asking is because like when we have our ice skating rink, there's a certain time for the high school to go,
yeah,
there's a certain time for the public to go. I mean, will there be any thought given to anything like that?
I think it's gonna operate kind of like basketball courts that are right next door, like the lights are on, you can go, the park closes, you can get out of there.
yeah, and if they're on till nighttime, young kids aren't gonna be there, and the thing is, I mean, there are, numerous amount of people that go, from 5 years, to, 70, I mean.
And will you organize certain things like to have a competition
They're gonna-
where people can
Oh,
come and
yeah.
watch?
I actually think a good thing is to have even bands play, have fundraisers, to even make money beyond, like what's spent into this.
Sure.
And make it like a destination. for-
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see you partner with the dog park and have dog skateboarding. I see him on TV.
Oh, yeah.
We always thought it'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
cool to be up there with all the shade.
People say this, I don't know for people to do around here. This is just one more thing for people to do.
Right, right.
That's a great
And,
idea.
I mean, I know you're doing the river walk, trying to, like, kind of, clean up the area and, and to do it, but I mean, to do a really good skate park and to do it right, it's gonna bring people from multiple states, people come across.
Let me ask you a question. Concrete, this is virtually indestructible,
It's
right?
hard, yeah.
And the thing with concrete is you can make shapes and forms that you can't out of wood or metal. So that's what we really want to bring that to this design, things, like flowing curves and just get creative with it.
More than just a ramp where you're back and forth and you're limited to, what you can do on it.
And just to back you up on what you said about drawing people in, up at the dog park and the area around there, we have every year 2 or 3 husky munches, where huskies come from Massachusetts, New York, and they all get together and they compete.
Yeah.
And, it really does draw people in to eat here and take care of the businesses.
There could definitely be competitions there. There would be
Yeah.
a lot of, in the industry, like the skateboarding world would be, different companies that say they make boards or they make wheels or something. They'll go on tours to different parks
Yeah.
across the country. And if your park is a destination, they're gonna come here and
That brings a lot of kids for signings, autographs, and it's, they throw products out, and it's like big part of it.
All right, Charlie,
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your time
Okay.
helping out. You've met with Park and Rec as well as with Jim Stewart and the members of Rampage. Your feedback as adult skaters. You've been doing this for a long time to help us design a park that you believe will be good for our youth all the way through adults, not just exclusively a youth park.
well, it's like parents, we want to bring our young children out. Or from 3-month-old to a 7-year-old, I want them to enjoy like that 3-month-old skateboarding, but she's of age, Like, I don't want it to be just some crazy thing for big kids, something all well-rounded.
So with all of this, and we have discussed this before, and we approved the initial money for this, idea, the concept that people need to really understand it. Skateboarding is a legitimate sporting activity that gets kids out of the house, doing stuff around there. It's not a typical, a lot of people may have grown up in North where they were little league, you did little league, you did basketball, you did football, and that was it. And a lot of these kids, I know as a teacher, I know they skateboard. Having a safe, regulated area like this is the way to go. And it fortifies the legitimacy of the concept of skateboarding in a real sport that keeps kids active and out there. I do have concerns about the waiving. Now, it was pointed out to us that waiving this bid, not going out to bid is kind of out of the norm for us. However, in light of everything, I think are positive we're gonna get from this. I'm with the mayor on this, and I won't take that chance on this.
But then again, is there time to even go to like get another bid or get,
Well, it's another question, but
yeah,
Ultimately, you'd want to have a skate park specialist. You know what I mean? We're doing the design, and it could go to anybody. There's, Grand Beach isn't the only one in the country. They're the only one in Connecticut. And they're local, and they do a hell of a job. They have a reputation across the whole state. But if it was to be put out to bid, and I've seen this all over where it's a professionally designed skate park, and then, you know, my dad, the contractor, got the job. You know, working concrete in radiuses and these crazy forms is a lot different than pouring retention wall. So it's a totally different, unless you have the hours of experience working the medium in that, you know, particular manner, it's not gonna come easy. Things are gonna be lumpy, they're not gonna be safe.
Also, my personal research on Rampage, I agree. I like the idea of hiring a local.
Yeah.
That is a big plus for them.
I give you-
And their reputation around the country is quite good, not just local.
so what I like about it and why I think it's unique is that they took into consideration exactly what our citizens, the older ones and the younger ones wanted, and blended together I'm gonna say fairly sophisticated project that seems to meet the needs of the adults in the community and the kids. So I think Rampage, when I went to like 3 meetings, everyone loved the design.
This is a custom design, not some cookie cutter.
Yeah, they're both working on
Custom
Rampage.
design.
yeah,
I've worked on projects with them in the past, just because he wanted input, like we did, Scantlebury recently in New Haven a couple years ago, Edgewood. And I went there and, you know, he was like, come on, you have experience. with
Naugatuck's
concrete."
better than that, right?
Well, Naugatuck should be way better. George and I are drawings.
Good.
All right, let's, anyone want to comment or ask questions? Or
I just want to ask one question. How long is that concrete gonna last actually? Without anybody damaging it or putting
Yeah.
rock salt on it or?
Jim,
They're using 4,000 PSI shotcrete for
Yeah.
most of it. I plan on doing some concrete testing when it's done to make sure it's actually, I don't doubt that they're gonna order what they're supposed to do. Sometimes the concrete companies screw up what they deliver. So I expect that we'll get some concrete testing as well to make sure it's done properly. If it's done properly and they're not putting salt on it, which I assume we wouldn't permit, it shouldn't last indefinitely.
I think the oldest part that Rampage built was what they're.
And so my second question is,
hold on,
I can't hear him.
I know. Jan. Go ahead.
So the second question is, what are you doing for safety if that's gonna be concrete? That's up to the person using it? Is that how it goes?
it's, you know, there'll be a sign posted, it's, you know, wear helmets, wear protective gear, you know, and it's really, I mean, being a skateboarder my whole life, you get hurt. There's no doubt about it. You know, you're gonna break bones. I've done it multiple times. I have scale in my leg right now, but not skateboarding. But anyway, it's like you get hurt and it's your risk, you know, you know what you're doing and you're there, you're doing it, you know, and you're taking that risk. And if it's posted there, you know, it's there. It's pretty much the waiver, I think, for liability and all that.
So my third question's for the mayor, actually. We're okay with insurance on this?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, they checked it all out. I mean, we're covered. We have Travelers, the best company in North America, so it's as good as we can do.
All right, I'm good.
Do you have a design? That is
Yeah,
formalized?
we have a sketch that we're working on, in the process of.
Okay.
You know,
But once you have that formalized, I think it'd be cool if the Parks Department could get it out
Oh, yeah.
to not only the Burgess, but the newspaper for them to look at. And how large is the area that you really utilize over there, footage wise?
It's 100 by 150.
Is that fenced in currently?
It's
Some of the
it's
fences are
partially
gonna
to remove.
Okay,
There's a middle, it's the 2 tennis courts, or it's actually 4 tennis courts, where
One of the drawings.
It starts at the curve at the basketball court, and it goes to basically the light in the second tennis.
okay.
but then there's pickleball.
47.
Is the fencing, the tour? Is there an issue with fencing, especially when you're doing the skateboarding, or is the fencing far enough away?
The middle fence is being removed,
Okay.
the fence next to the basketball court is gonna be removed.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is the area of the old tennis courts there.
Yeah,
And then, so there would be the new pickleball court we put in the future.
yeah,
And this is the existing fence between the 2 courts that are here and 2
Thank you.
courts that are here, and we're
Yeah.
relocating it. We relocated towards there.
okay. So it's a pretty good
Would be in
Oh, yeah,
that area,
Sweet.
and then the walk path is like.
Okay. Have you ever been out to Rockwell Park in Bristol?
I actually work right by it at Bristol Tech. It's a
Okay.
machine shop there.
My granddaughter played a softball game out at that park early on in the summer, late spring. And I was walking in there and I'm saying, holy crap, look at this freaking skateboard park. As soon as I got home, I sent an email to the people at the Parks Department. Says, man, you ought to go take a look at this. I says, there's a ton of kids there.
Oh, yeah.
And they also have a splash park there
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
which is unbelievable. So it's like, I thought it was pretty cool. And I says, whatever we do, we've got to be, 99% concrete instead of all this other crap that's out there. Do you have a steel rail for the skaters to come down on and?
Everything there'll be like we're designing grindable surfaces on every lip of every, ramp and every staircase. Or any kind of staircase ladder handrail to go down, or a hubba, what you call, which is a ledge, pretty much so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question for Jim. I know that we had talked about possibly hooking up with, see if we can get some Tony Hawk money. Have we ever pursued that when we first talked about this? We had talked about possibly filling out an application to see if we can get funding for that, number one, and number two, does Tony Hawk have special requirements in order to get any of his money?
I can talk to Kim again. I know Kim and Gigi were looking at that. I believe there had to be a certain amount.
It was 20 grand, it needs to be raised before we chips it.
So obviously, if we use the town's money, we can certainly look at that.
Okay, I mean, it's something to look at.
I'll talk to her about doing it if she has.
Yeah, it's something to look at. If it's extra money, that's money that we don't have to pay.
I think the last I heard, they raised about $12,000 so far.
That's the one thing.
Well, see, I think there's a Tony Hawk Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
You can apply for to get
That's what I
money.
plan on doing.
That's what that's what the
And I think they
fundraiser
also
was
needed,
for.
they wanted to design at the same time.
Okay,
So
oh, that's cool. So we're.
now we're getting
almost
there.
Yeah,
That's good.
all right, but it's something just to continue to pursue and not forget about.
I like Rockwell, believe it or not, is the most expensive skate park in Connecticut by far. It's almost $2.5 million.
Wow.
ESPN paid California skate parks to put that skate park in. And this park is gonna easily rival it.
Cool, that's
So
great.
we're gonna rival a $25 million park.
Or two and a half million, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they paid, it's like they had that contract with ESPN was for the X Games, big money, everything. It was a big deal. $2.5 million.
Pete, can I ask a second, from an insurance standpoint, this is considered a hazardous recreational activity. Can we see if the other places with skate parks have passed any ordinances to protect themselves like Bristol?
I think that, you should have that, search yourself.
Why do I ask questions?
And if there's a way to, I'm gonna say, if there's a way to recoup money through Tony Hawk or otherwise, if there's a way to better protect us, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
so I think, check it out. You should be.
With that, I'm retired, I don't do anything.
At least 1 hour.
Reading the paper at 6 in the morning. 5:30.
It definitely.
See what I can find out.
Chief Mike Bronco has a question.
Yes, Mike.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am definitely in favor of this project. And I agree with the fellow that spoke, saying that it's a special skill set to do that type of concrete work with the curves and all that. But I believe that that's part of the bidding process where we find qualified bidders that can do that type of work. So being that said, even though it is a unique project, I am not in favor of waiving the bidding process for a $250,000 project.
Okay.
You can happily suggest multiple people to ask for bids from, specialists, give you a
Even
number
less
right
good.
now, we'd be happy with.
All right, any questions of these gentlemen?
No, I think, I mean, in general, I mean, this is a conversation that's been going on for quite some time. And, and we did, seek out to get, people to get interested in it and, and the group did seek out citizen input, so, and I do realize that this is a unique situation where, the waiving of the bid is required, and I'm not sure if it makes any sense whether you don't waive it or not. If you could get, a half a dozen bids in, at the end of the day, you might get a bid that's gonna lowball everything and not even be good quality, so. I think that we're on the right path of going with the company that, that looked into it for us.
Well, not only that, but in my mind, one of the benefits is that this company has great reviews, great reputation. Everyone loves them. They're the one we'd want to win the bid.
Well, and I think you guys already said they're the only like skateboard park builders in Connecticut. So you can get tons of concrete, bids, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's not.
Right.
So we're gonna pull someone from out of state versus.
And I think
local.
California was like,
And,
the number
you know,
one skateboard park.
Would end up
builder.
costing more too, having them pull someone from out of state.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I mean, I feel like we've talked about this project for months and months and months, actually years. I feel like Naugatuck's talked about skateboard parks. We're finally in a position where we could do it. And I feel like, continuing to reach out is kind of kicking the can down the road at this point. And we need to get this going and give the guys and the kids what we said we would.
Jim, I would assume that in the spec, we'll give you the spec of what the concrete is anyways.
Well, that's another thing, is that, we're working with Rampage and working with these guys in design.
Yeah.
If we go out to bid, the relationship kind of isn't there anymore,
Yeah.
and we need a design. And I mean, I could design a sewer pipe and a road, a parking lot, but I'm not gonna design a skateboard park, because you're putting $200,000 of concrete in. So
I think it's gonna pass anyways.
I'm just saying, you've got to factor in a cost of additional design services. If you go out to bid.
We get it.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
I don't think it's happening. I think we're gonna approve.
Any questions?
There's no questions. I'd like to make a few comments.
Okay, we're gonna go to discussion now. Any discussion?
I think there has been some discussion here. Anyways, I agree with Dan as far as the bidding process and the normal purchasing practices. In some research I've done, some background I've done, and I didn't know it was gonna be passed tonight as far as has anything been done, but if you look at places like New Line, T-Plan, Gridline, Dreamland, California that you mentioned, and
Spine, branch, I believe, that one is.
Spawn Ranch.
Is that, yeah, they're all big contractors and big designers. And if you're looking at, you mentioned California, they're not even gonna come into design it for less than, from what I've seen, less than 70,000 to 80,000 on up for the design. And in a sense, we've already entered into a non-verbal, a non-written contract with Rampage. We asked them to come in and design something. They've done that. We've asked them to change that design. Now, if you go with some of these big companies, say, like California, you know, a 7,000 or 8,000 square foot skateboard park is, you know, they might not even come in to Naugatuck to do something like that. You're gonna have a hard time bringing some of them in at a cost that we could afford. And I think that alone, based on some of the projects they've done and what it costs them, you know, to bring them in from outside the state, some of the places are in Canada. Make
Some of those builders you named are pretty awesome.
Oh, I'm not,
T-Pains,
they are
right?
awesome. And I think that Rampage, from what I've seen,
They're awesome.
Rampage rivals them in a more localized setting. And although they have done projects outside of Connecticut, I think that, was it Chicago or something? I think they
They've
did
gone to
And they go-
Washington, Puerto Rico, Alaska.
the Bronx. Bronx, are they near Yankee Stadium? The
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium, there's one up
I'm
there.
in.
Yeah, and I won't hold that against them. You know, if they did one up near Fenway Park, then we're in. But
I think we've built the level of synergy here between Rampage and the designers.
And
to
think-
disconnect it.
And as I said, Dan is absolutely right, that, you know, if we were just entering into right now and said, we need some developers for this, we need some designers for this. And we put it out for bid, I think maybe we missed the boat before, but to me, we've already entered into somewhat of an agreement with Rampage. And I think that, in this particular case, as Pete said, this isn't a different case that we ought to go for. Under different circumstances, I would definitely not waive a $250,000 bid. But Rampage already has thousands of dollars of time into this.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh,
Okay, so 8-1, Mike Bronco opposed. Item 15.
Motion to Board Mayor Burgess waive the bid for purchase of the used.
Thank you.
Greens Pro 1260 turf roller model 44913 serial number 403400709 to Robert Dumpster, care of Sunset Hill Golf Club, Sunset Street, Brookfield, the amount of $14,000. As recommended by Director of Public Works, James Stewart.
I'm gonna start it off, so, in the budget, we agreed to acquire a brand new, Toro Greens, the exact same thing. It would take about a year to get it. There's one here now that, is actually at the golf course that they're using. It's used, it's a lower price. How much was the other one, Jim?
This one is 14. The other, the new one is estimated now is 16,648. But
It could go up.
they're gonna come back when prior to delivery and tell us what the price actually is. And they're
Right, so-
estimating another $1,500 plus. And at that point, they say, okay, you can take it or leave it, because if you don't take it, we'll find someone else. So,
Right, and this one is almost brand new, right?
and that would bring us above our budget at that point.
Is this almost brand
Wanna
new?
bring up that, take care of that,
Jim,
it's brand new.
okay,
It's effectively brand new.
Okay, so it's got like an hour's worth of time.
It's got like, I think Joe estimated like 6 weeks of use, so it's
So in that,
It's here, we're used, and they like it.
Okay, perfect.
in that case, it got about 648, 6 weeks of stuff on it times 8 hours, right?
No, it's not used 8 hours a day. It's used, a number of hours every day.
It's a specialty item, Jan. It's for finishing off and getting that final perfect roll.
Just gives you a little more off the top.
What?
Gives you a little more off the top.
PGA style.
Well, if it's only 6 weeks old, I'm all for it, but
All right.
All right, any questions or discussion on item 15? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? All right,
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Bruce authorize Mayor and Warren P. Hess to enter into a contract with the City of Waterbury and the Waterbury Fire Department for the sale of 2000 Pierce Incident 105-foot aerial apparatus for the purchase of $95,000 as recommended by First Assistant Chief, Fire Chief Walt Senior.
Second.
okay, so Walter, why don't you bring us up to speed on this? And we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we have our own fire truck. It was taken out of service about a year ago when the new one was put in service and we were trained on it. We had it listed with a broker for that year. We've received about 3 inquiries, fire kickers. We had one that was serious from down south, but they were authorized to purchase a new one. So that kind of fell through as well. With the broker, we had it listed for $125,000, which we would have had to pay 10% brokerage fee if they sold it. The City of Waterbury approached me, wanted to buy it. They want it as a spare. So the City of Waterbury runs 3 aerials every day. 2 of them are in poor condition at best. They've ordered 2 new ones, but they're going to take the other 2 and they're so bad that we can't use it as a spare. They're going to use this one as a spare. It's probably going to go on a couple hundred calls a year. So we negotiated a price. I have a letter of intent for the fire chief of $95,000. And for us, that eliminates the maintenance costs for us. It's about $4,000 to $5,000 a year just to maintain the area. If it doesn't need any pumps, the DOT test, the aerial testing, the pump testing. So I think this is a good thing for the borough, good thing for the City of Waterbury. And the good thing for us is, we have a mutual aid agreement with Waterbury. We have a great relationship with them. And if for some reason we need to borrow an aerial, as we lend them ours, they'll lend it back to us if it's available. So, and our guys are familiar with it, so it's a win.
All right. Any questions?
best deal in the world, do it.
Okay,
Comments, boss?
what?
Can we comment?
Yes,
Is it discussion?
any discussion? Fran,
Yeah, as Chief Stevens said, Waterbury's used this from time to time. They've done maintenance on it, they've done repairs to it. And they're a mutual aid partner to us. And I think it would be rule enter an agreement with them, sell them this, and as their mutual aid partners with it. With us, we have that availability that if we need one, when ours is out of service, it might not be that one, it might be one of the other ones, but we'll have one. As they provided mutual aid to us recently, and we provided to them, I'd rather go, sell something to one of our partners and send it out of state. And as the chief said, that if for some reason we have to use this with our main ladder is out, the firefighters down there are already familiar with that piece of apparatus, and there's no training for it. I think that's important.
All right, and I'll just say, I'm sure everyone knows, because we have a great relationship with Waterbury. And, you know, in addition to our mutual aid agreement, and, if we need it, we're gonna get to use it, they're gonna maintain it. Our guys know how to use it, so it's like, but it's still a backup.
And I mean, we've had 3 other offers, well, not offers, higher tickets, as the chief said, but, you know, nobody's writing a check.
Yeah, we didn't get any offers.
We didn't get
Yeah,
off.
that's what I said, higher tickets. So,
So Mayor, this is slated on their Board of Aldermen meeting for July 18th.
Okay. All right, so we'll vote tonight, and then if they vote yes, we'll make the deal. If they don't, we won't. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
motion to Board of Mayor Burgess to authorize Mayor Eddie Moore and Pete Hess to sign a contract with Axon Enterprises, 180 East Sky Harbor Circle, Phoenix, Arizona, purchase of additional 16 body cameras from the Police Department. Fiscal year 2022-2023, in order to comply with the recent police accountability legislation as recommended by Police Chief Colin McAllister.
Second.
All right, Colin.
So this item was approved during the budget process. We just have to execute an upgrading contract with Axon in order to get this underway. Just a little bit of explanation on this process here. We do have approximately 40 body cameras already assigned to our officers. We were trying to make it work with those 40, but basically, as the interpretation of the police accountability bill has come forward in the last year, it doesn't appear that we would be in compliance with our plainclothes officers not having access to those additional 16 of them. The thought being the second that they go into an interaction with law enforcement capacity, they have them on them. Most plainclothes detectives do not want to go out on the road without having access to them. It just ultimately allows us to better comply with the law. And as you all know, Axon is a sole source vendor. They really cornered the market, not just on tasers, but also on the police body cameras, and basically brought up all the competition as well over the last couple of years. So we are at their the will of Axon for the foreseeable future.
Do undercover officers have to wear them?
They do not, there is a provision for
good.
undercover officers, however, our plainclothes officers on canvases, follow-ups, knocking on doors, anytime they're acting in capacity should have them.
And if you have to go out to a club for some reason, or any administrator, you have to put them on?
If I'm gonna be acting in that law enforcement capacity, I should, so you've seen me at some of the fairs and festivals, I do wear one myself.
Yeah. Thank you.
We budgeted for this town.
Yes.
All right, any questions? Discussion?
Nothing more than just another unfunded mandate. A good thing to have, though. I mean, they're great.
And the state gives no money back for this, I'll assume.
Didn't we get grants for some of these?
We did, but unfortunately, we were in the first department to get the body camera,
Yeah.
so it was a one-time only reimbursement, so we got the one-time reimbursement, I believe, in 2014 or 15 from OPM. We are slated to possibly get some money for the dash camera, the in-car camera system, but it has to be done after the entire rollout has been completed, installation, which we finished, I believe, mid to late May, so we have to submit that to OPM and see what we get back.
We were one of the departments that were ahead of the curve. Yeah. Getting early on, where it's about departments there. Yeah. You know, but now they're getting 80 also.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to Board of Mayor Burgess to authorize Controller Allison Bruce to refund the following tax refunds approved by tax collector James Goggin as a grant.
Second.
Questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment? Hold on, oh yeah,
We have revised addendum, item 1, Motion to Board of Members, add to the agenda, a motion to extend the streetlight maintenance service contract.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Opposed?
Motion to the Board of Members to extend the streetlight maintenance contract 19-20 with Turi Masterson, 766 Riverside Drive, Torrington, for an additional 3 years as per section 13 of the contract, including a 6.49% CPI adjustment for the fiscal year for the contract extension. Contract extension expires June 30th, 2025, as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
Jim,
This was put out in 2019 as a 3-year contract with extensions. It's helpful to the borough, and the contractor, Tory Masterson, is interested in extending it. I'm recommending we extend it. We have a good relationship with them. They respond quickly. And we haven't had any issues with the level of quality of the work.
How often have they been here since we put all the new lights up?
Initially, there was a flurry of work. And it's calming down, thank God, because obviously the LEDs, they either work or they don't. And so we worked through most of the issues, and we're not seeing a lot of people calling anymore. I'm glad. With lights not working or flashing issues haven't come up as much because we've resolved all those power issues with Eversource. What we do see a lot of is car accidents, which we do our best if there's someone caught, get insurance, and repairs from trees falling on lights and such.
Is there an annual fee that they present, or is it based on?
It's all based on the service. that they
Service of
provide.
them coming out, okay. Next question, I know that you said they gave 2 3-year options after that. If they had gone to, instead of a 3-year option this time, if we went to a 6-year option, would that have had any impact on that CPI rate, or would it be the same?
CPI is based on the 12 months prior. So no, it's written so that they would get a CPI based on each of the next 2 years.
Okay.
So
If we extended it, if we went to 6 years, do you think that number would have been less or more? We don't know.
well, CPI gonna go up or down? Well, are they gonna go up?
the way the contract's written, it doesn't change.
Okay.
Because the CPI is actually calculated based on the government's list of inflation based on the inflation over the last 12 or previous calendar year. Okay. So we'll recalculate next year depending on the inflation this calendar year. So I wouldn't necessarily want to go more than 3 years because it might continue to grow 6% a year, in which case I'd want to rebid in 3 years.
All right, that's cool. Thank you.
Would you like the company, Jim?
I do like the company.
Yeah, they're good.
They respond, it's not an issue, they'll order lights, they'll take the light.
can I ask a question, please?
Oh.
Jimmy, is that the same place that was working on Wilson Street up here? In back of my house?
I don't know what they're doing at the time.
The street light was actually taken down by a tree coming down. There was no street light there. The guy called up for a street light for a long time. You might remember this now. CLMP had to come up and they had to come up and it took about
Yeah, well.
4 months to get, it took about 4 months to get done. Is that the same place?
Tory Masterson's fault. There's a lot of back and forth between the people calling. Eversource won't respond unless we have our contractor verify that it's a problem with the power, so they have to respond, and then they have to tell us, then we have to tell Eversource to get out there and do the power. Eversource sometimes goes out there and says, sorry, it's not a power issue, and then we have to.
But that's the same, is that the same company?
It would be.
Because the first thing they had to do was put the light pole back up on a pole. And that took about a month and a half.
Well, it needed 2 people.
Thanks, Bob. You know, Bob, I love talking to you. I'm glad you're a Red Sox fan. Anyway, let's go on.
So they just handle pictures and lamps, nothing to do with wires.
Nothing to do with wiring.
So when
They
the lights,
can't they can't touch the wire,
when the lights are out or flashing in the industrial park, it's not them.
not them at all. That's all.
But they've been good ever since, because quite honestly, Jim, I mean, the lights in my neighborhood on this side of town have been fine, except for that one fiasco, you know?
This light is still not working?
Oh, it's working fine.
Okay,
Okay.
right on.
All right.
We made sure it got working fine, or else I was blowing up your phone every day.
Good night.
Good night, Chris.
Good night.
All right. All those in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed?
Motion that the Board of Members is add to the agenda, a motion to authorize mayor to sign a summer employment program grant for Naugatuck Youth Services.
Second.
The motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess is authorized mayor and Warren Pete has to execute all contracts related documents.
Hold on, do we vote on adding it? Huh? All those in favor of adding it to the agenda?
Aye.
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 Yeah,
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize mayor and Warren Pete has to execute all contracts related documents for a summer employment program grant for the Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board. The amount of $146,775.38 is well budget amendment to allow for additional funding at a later date managed by Naugatuck Youth Services, Inc., as recommended by Youth Services Director Kristen Marmok.
Second.
All right, so Allison is, are you gonna bring us up to speed on this, or who is?
I don't have anything on that.
Hold on. Let me look at it. This just came in today, so. Well, it's a grant, so, we're getting more money than in the past, so we can do more with it, so it's a good thing that we're, applying for more, and we think we have a good shot to get it, so
Take free money.
free money, so I guess it's good. Questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion the Board of Members is add to the agenda, a motion regarding the HVA in the police department evidence room.
Second.
Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion to Board of Mayor and Burgesses additionally approved mayor has to sign a contract to repair the HVA in the police department evidence room contingent upon the standing building committee's approval of the quote for the project and vendor.
Second.
All right, so normally this would go to the 5-year capital committee first, but there wasn't enough time, so the thought is we'll deal with it here, we'll listen to Colin, and then we'll go back to the 5-year capital committee with this project. Colin?
Thank you. This is, an ongoing issue that's come up recently, again, regarding the evidence room. You know, in the last couple of years, it's been an uptick in the amount of narcotics we've seized, particularly those containing fentanyl. The evidence room does not have a dedicated ventilation system. As a result, the evidence officer who has to work down there all day has been experiencing some minor, consistent issues down there as far as faintness of his head, the air circulation system. We've tried to make some low-level improvements, fans, a small air purifier. He wears an N95 mask when he's down there, but it is having an effect. We've been looking into a bunch of different solutions to try to resolve this down there, but unfortunately, it seems the only way we can address this is adding on an existing air filtration system that's separate from the pre-existing HVAC system that will exchange air from the outside of the building, filter it through essentially a membrane, an ERD, which will then push the air back out. We still need to maintain the temperature in the room. You know, if it's going to be cold outside during the winter or warm outside during the during the summer times, we don't want to tax pre-existing HVAC systems, so it is a little bit complicated. It's not as simple as just getting an air purifier, and putting it in there. There's gonna be required some duct work, and it would have to do and put something on the outside to do the air exchange. There's a couple different ways we could do it. It all seems to be coming in. Order right around 48,000 or so. We've gotten some quotes previously in the years past trying to look onto this. It seems to be consistently what it is. But it is obviously a priority, and we've been grappling with this on and off now for several years. But that was come to a head. I am concerned about that officer. I don't want to be down there for a long period without trying to get some solutions going to this.
One of the companies, because I have the paperwork that you sent, one of the companies you have here is pending on sending their bid in. Are they going to send a bid in?
Yes, they have. They have said that they will send one. Unfortunately, they did not even get it in prior to September.
And I would assume, are all the bids going to be apples to apples? And I know they vary a little bit. And one of the bids had some additional engineering type stuff that were going to be added to it. Whether those were needed or not, and or was one of the vendors already have that type of practice in place that is within their bid.
The one with the additional things that seemed to be the most comprehensive, there was some reluctance from one of the three bidders to submit without doing a full engineering study, without going all into it. As far as the bid that was requested, the quote that was pending, that vendor, we're not sure if it's going to come in much lower. If it's just simply going to be a blower in there to exchange air, or whether they were going to make a proposal similar to these, which is that European actual filtration system and exchange or to maintain the temperature. So that remains to be seen, but they've all come on site. These are our three main HVAC vendors that we deal with on a routine basis, and that's why we're able to get them in quickly. Because of those pre-existing relationships, where they are familiar with the HVAC system, they were able to come down the last couple of weeks and get something for us before all of the.
When we put the new HVA system in the police station a few years back, was one of the vendors, the people that were bidding on this?
Correct, yes,
Okay.
one of them was, that was the
low bid?
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So,
All right, you good?
Yeah.
Okay, questions, discussion?
Well, let me ask you, Mayor, do we want to let them know an idea on what the money is?
Well, so that's gonna be part of the capital, right?
But once we approve it, we're essentially approving,
Well,
we're pre-approving the
Right,
thing here, but
you said 48,000, right?
the lowest bid is 47.
yeah, approximately that's what they're coming.
Can I jump in? Hello,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Allison?
Yeah.
So it's, right now, we need approval for not the 5-year capital, but the capital reserve fund is where the funding is that is reserved for this type of work. 5-year capital's a different fund, so I need that approval.
hold on, you lost me.
Capital reserve fund is what we're looking for approval from, in the neighborhood of $50,000. And it is a rather urgent project right now. It's been lingering too long, and it's becoming, it has a potential to become a bigger issue. So
Okay,
that's,
Allison, just so I'm clear, the capital reserve fund is the 5-year capital fund, just that we got the extra money and we put it in the account we're calling capital reserve, but it's the same pot of money, right?
no, the capital reserve money is the money that we put aside from the surplus of the bonding. But 5-year capital is bonding money. So I just want to be clear
Well, the
that we're using,
hold on.
they're the same.
The 5-year capital money is money that we previously bonded and put it into an account. And that's starting
Correct.
down. So we took some of our bond savings money and put it into a capital reserve account, but they both
Correct.
serve the same
Are
purpose
for,
of funding
correct.
borough projects, correct?
Correct. I just want to make sure we're using the right, that you're approving the right capital reserve fund so I can move ahead and not be deterred.
Okay, but just so I'm clear, we, in addition to that money, we do have other money in the original bonding money from the 5-year capital reserve plan, right? And
Correct.
then shouldn't that all be ultimately in one pot?
Not the way the accounting structure is now. Bonding money is in a separate fund than non-bonding money, but they serve the same purpose. So that's why I just want to be clear.
Okay. All right.
Not-
Any other questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, public comment? So we're up. All right, public comment. Jim K will monitor this. First call,
0,
second call,
still 0,
last call.
none.
All right, Mayor and Burgess comments. I'll start with Mike Bronco. We're going to Zoom land first tonight.
Zoom is Zoom. Yeah, I don't have any comments.
Okay, Dan?
Jan's being quiet tonight. Next.
Changes his mind.
I'm off to a good start here now. Dorothy. You have a quizzical look, so I called on you.
I didn't know we were going next, so, I don't really have much to say other than, with the recent, activity on the Board of Ed, we had a member resign. So there will be an opening.
Thank you. Grant,
Not much, we've all talked about the roof and town hall and youth services. I just noticed in today's paper that Gary Brown passed away. Yeah. Brown roof.
yeah,
So another icon in our community.
Yeah.
And, good job to all on the fireworks. The other night, treating the fire, everyone involved did a great job, the fire marshal, fire department. They, good job on it, not on all, and,
thank you. Rocky,
Yes, sir. Just a few things. On a sad note, people may remember bus driver Judy Harper took all my kids around town. She's now working out of Oxford. Unfortunately, her husband passed away. And there's gonna be on Friday, from 4 to 9 at the VFW on Baldwin Street in Waterbury. There's gonna be a fundraiser for her. It's $20 a ticket, so I hope a whole load of people go. Looking forward to the Battle of the Badges, the police department versus the fire department on Saturday, 6 o'clock at Foley Field. It'll be interesting. I'm gonna put some money on somebody. I don't know who yet. And also the pep talk by the PD that's coming up at the Gen Room on the 16th. From 10 to 2. That's a heck of a pep talk. What's gonna be going on there?
So this is, it's a community forum, community discussion, almost roundtable. We're looking for youth leaders, youth community members to participate in this for discussing basically some hard topics around law enforcement, community interactions. There's also going to be a use of force simulation or use of force scenarios and simulations to run some people through. They're interested in that too. So it's a way for people to try to get their choose an officer and try to interact with some of these situations that they go to college.
Great. That's it.
Megan. Charles,
Aside from going along with what was said about the fireworks, outstanding job by everyone involved. A very enjoyable experience for so many here in town. We have perfect weather for it. Definitely a job well done. Summer concerts are going well. Unfortunately, they had rain out tonight. They had to move to high school. For the most part, we had good crowds and people are enjoying themselves and getting excellent feedback on the concerts at this time. Aside from that,
I lied, I do have one thing, Charlie just reminded me.
Okay, I'm gonna return the floor and recognize Burgess Meganson.
Thank you. Speaking of the concerts, I know you spoke with Coach Roper a little bit about recognizing our all-state athletes.
Yeah.
Is that something that could be done on the green one night prior to the concert starting? Or is that something I should check with the Arts Commission on?
reach out to Catherine Ernstine on that. Which
Okay.
I don't think we have a problem with that law,
Okay,
but.
I think that'd just be a nice platform to do it because there's, there's a good
I
size
told
audience there.
him he could do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and then he left it up to me.
Well, but we have to have proclamation or something.
Definitely, they absolutely deserve it
So who's-
before they go off to college too.
Who's in charge
Of
the event?
me, I guess, me and
Okay.
Ralph,
Okay,
Ralph and I.
all right, all right, would you like to send me an email or
Yes.
something to remind me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, I need something.
Those were the three girls, right? that-
We had a couple male all states as well. I believe.
Nice.
Yeah, we had quite a few this year, so.
Bob,
Well, a few of us have been part of the Parcel B committee, which we're gonna discuss in executive session. Very, very good dialogue and meetings regarding that, which is extremely promising. And the other thing is that I agree with Dan in the first part is that we really need to review whether the scooter system is right for downtown. And we, from day one, to me, it's just an accident waiting to happen. My opinion. That's it. Thank you.
okay. I guess I'm good for tonight. Lot going on and I think we're gonna have a good discussion in executive session on a lot of good topics tonight. As Bob mentioned. So, let's take a 5-minute break. And then we
Make a
will.
motion to go into
Executive session first.
Yeah, and then we'll take a break, I guess. So let's go into executive session. We'll take a break and then. Oh, you're coming in, yeah. By the way, when we go into executive session, invite in Tommy Hyde from NBRDC.
Just like motion to recess to executive session at 8:56 for discussion of following real estate, land six property parcels A, B, Y, and Z, Bank of America, acquisition of land for downtown parking, tax incremental financing district, sale of former recycling center, Rubber Avenue, pending litigation, inviting in John Hyde from NBRDC.
Tommy Hyde.
Tommy,
Second,
That's his brother talking about it.
second.
Chicken burger, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Mike's still here.
Well, do we get our guys back?
Did I know? Sometimes.
James, that's smart.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
I do want to swap up the city.
All right,
Yeah, same thing in my house.
Or Thomas.
I love it.
All right, we ready, Jim?
Yes, we are.
Want me to, you're gonna record or I'll go first?
It's already.
Recording? All right, so I'm gonna reconvene the meeting at 10:13. And we're coming out of executive session. What issue?
The motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize mayor has to sign all appropriate closing documents to acquire the 86.5 acres land site as discussed in executive session.
Second.
All right, it's just by way of background. You know, we've been working on this project as a team for many years. And we're almost ready to acquire it for the purchase price of $1. We all know that under the agreement, essentially, we're obligated to cap the site, which will be with development and parking lots and engineered liners. It's going to be a long-term project. There's a lot going on. We're going to start off by building the road network. We are going to be applying for state money, and we will be using some of our TIP revenue. But we are anxious to start the process, acquire the land, have a shovel-ready project, get federal and or state funding to begin the development process and convert that land from what would be a parking lot into a industrial park, the Port of Naugatuck, or other potential uses, and get going on it. It's going to be a long-term project and a lot going on. So I know we've discussed this 50 times in the past, but are there any questions or does anyone want to make a comment for the record? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize mayor has to sign an application for the Family Investment Fund grant for $8 million to construct road network and bring utilities to the Lamsus property.
Second.
All right, so as we just said, we will be applying for a state CIF grant. We have a new grant writer on the team working with us through NVRDC and the city of Waterbury. They're working with our team to apply on or before July 25th for, I'm going to say, the next round of funding, and we're going full speed ahead. So our plan is to acquire the land, go for the funding, to build a road network, bring the utilities in, create pad sites, and be ready for, any of our potential projects. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then I will also entertain a motion that we extend the closing date on the acquisition of the Lanxess partial through September 1. Well, that's the motion. I'll entertain that motion.
Second.
Second by Dorothy Mathunin. So that's just in case we can't get everything done before the end of July. We'll get it done in August, but the plan is to try and get it done in July.
How does it affect the application?
It doesn't, but it would be stronger if we were the owner. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Last but not least,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Opposed?
Do we have to?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Enthusiasm.
That was that 10, 20?
Close enough.